class. I am Kathy Mitra, your instructor for ATH315 Anthropology in the Contemporary World. Welcome, and I'm looking really forward to getting to know you this semester. This is an upper level course, so I know that you have an interest in anthropology. Maybe you're even majoring in it, so I think we can have lots of really great conversations. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this video talking about how to navigate Blackboard, but I've put some instructions in the written welcome below. And if you go onto the My Instructor tab, you can find my phone number and my email, and you can email me or call me anytime now or throughout the semester if you have a question or problem. So if you're having trouble getting around Blackboard, please let me know. You can also put a question in the general questions on the discussion board, which is really good too, because sometimes your classmates have the same questions. So don't ever hesitate to get in touch with me. A little bit about myself. When I went to college, I had it all figured out. I was going to be a psychology major and become a special ed teacher. And I saw this strange course in the catalog called anthropology. It was actually physical anthropology, and I had never heard of that before, but I took the course, and then I took another and another until I found myself as a double major, anthropology and psychology. I really like cultural anthropology. Well, I like all the subfields of anthropology, but I focused on cultural anthropology because I think the participant observation method is so interesting. The idea that if you want to know how people think or why they do what they do, ask them. Sometimes they don't know how to answer you because it's, as you know from past semesters, when people ask you about your culture, it's so much a part of you that it's hard to separate it out. So I find that very interesting, that methodology. And I've always been very interested in cultural anthropology. After graduating from college, I got a job at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, and my first task was to vacuum the totem poles in the Northwest Coast exhibit. And I was thrilled because that exhibit was conceived by Franz Boas, and that name is probably familiar to you. He's considered the father of American anthropology, so that was very exciting. I worked there for a little while, and then I decided to go back to graduate school, and I got a master's in cultural anthropology from Indiana University in Bloomington. And when I graduated with that, I worked as a curator of world cultures at the Children's Museum in Indianapolis. And I realized when I worked at the Children's Museum, because my job was a little different, it wasn't just researching artifacts, but using them in exhibits and programs. And I realized that as much as I loved doing the research, what I really liked was sharing the artifacts with children and their families and teaching anthropological concepts through the artifacts. Then I moved out to Long Island. And out here, the museums focus more on local history, which wasn't really my thing. It's about 90 minutes for me to get to New York City, and I had two small children, and so I realized I kind of had to switch gears a bit. And since I loved teaching anthropology through artifacts, I started working in various colleges around here and teaching anthropology. And then I moved on to online teaching. And that was very exotic when I started around 1999, 2000, something like that. But now, of course, it's very mainstream. So that's a bit about me. Speaking of artifacts, you can probably see my husband's CD collection behind me. Those are artifacts. If you think about ways that you could use those in a museum exhibit, they're the obvious things. You could talk about globalization. You could talk about cultural arts. But how have our communities changed from the time that music was only live and the people that performed it were people in our community? Now we don't need an object that carries the music and the device to play it. It's all in one. And that often involves headphones and makes listening to music a more individual thing. So how does that affect our social situations? What does our music say about our identity? and the list goes on. So the objects that surround us say a lot about our culture. Um, so anyway, that's enough about me. As I said, I'm really looking forward to hearing more about you, and I think it'll be a great semester. Take care.